This story begins with Go-yu, a popular student who is the captain of the school basketball team. All the girls admire him and fall in love with him, and one of his occupations is taking care of his best friend Hee, who suffers from terrible dizziness and unfortunately is bullied by a bully who scolds him for bumping into him. But the bully did not expect Go-yu to appear to defend his friend. The bully decides to attack the boy like a bull, and Go-yu dodges him quickly, and the bully ends up falling to the ground and wonders how Go-yu can be so fast. Then they continue fighting, and the teacher discovers them and punishes the bully. Even so, they force Go-yu to write an apology letter, and he performs a dance in front of his friend, showing the great connection they have. Because they have known each other since childhood, even one of them will give an organ to the other. Then they find out that there is a super cute new girl at school, and that girl is Yeon, who is famous on Instagram and receives a talk from the teacher to behave well. But instead of going to class, she goes to the infirmary where she decides to lie down. At that moment, the friends enter because he felt another headache, and she listens to how they fight. Suddenly, she opens the curtain and appears in front of them. When they see her, their hearts jump to their throats, although Go-yu tries to appear normal. Then she flips a coin, and it lands on heads. So she wins the bet and forces Go-yu to be her slave for one day. Later, Yeon is introduced in class, and all the students are mesmerized by her beauty and applaud while she looks seriously at Go-yu, as if she doesn't like him. After this, the two friends walk. Then Go-yu tries to find out if she lives nearby, but she doesn't give him a clear answer. They bought food, but it had peanuts, and Go-yu's face turns red because he is allergic. He looks for his pills because he could die, and his friends call his family asking for help, but neither of his parents answers since they work as doctors all day at the hospital. Then he only has his friend, forgot her sports clothes, and he offers to give her his uniform, which she accepts. While walking, we see that the clothes are super big on her. He looks at her with desire. After this, he suffers a terrible dizziness again, and we see that Go-yu also has a headache, as if they were connected. Then, unfortunately, the bully finds him, and then, with the last strength he has left, he calls his friend, and luckily they take him to the hospital where he is very injured, barely able to breathe, and they do scans to see what is happening. Then, in the scan, they detect a serious illness, the same one that killed his older brother, with whom Go-yu has nightmares every day, because when walking in his dream, he finds him with a monstrous face like a ghost. Then the doctors reveal to his grandmother that her grandson has chronic kidney failure, which means his kidneys are failing, and they warn that if he doesn't have a transplant, he will soon die. They tell the news to Go-yu, who takes it terribly because his friend endured so much pain without saying anything, and he feels that he doesn't trust him, while Yeon wants to return the protagonist's clothes. But since he is not in class, his friend takes them to the hospital and lies to them, saying that Yeon cried when she found out that he was in the hospital. This lifts his spirits, and they plan to make alcohol with the elements there. His friend gets intense with the formulas they must make, and he ends up running away because he doesn't like sciences. But one day, he wakes up terribly with anguishing pains, and seeing how much his grandmother suffers, Go-yu makes a decision that changes the course of their lives. He offers to be the donor of his kidney, and his parents refuse since life with one kidney can have serious problems. But he has already made the decision to help his friend. Then they take him to the operation, and both the doctors and his grandmother are nervous, and a tense atmosphere is felt because their lives are at risk. The doctors begin to operate, and everything was going well when suddenly, the heart of one of them stops and does not respond. The doctors bring blood transfusions and put air tubes, but we see that the two friends begin to shed tears from their eyes. Then, as a last solution, they give them electric shocks that could save their lives. 1 month later, we see that Yeon misses the two boys, and the bullies don't stop looking at her with jealousy for being prettier than them. So they decide to kidnap her in the school garage and insult her. They force her to scratch her face, and Yeon suffers terribly. And just then, her two saviors arrive like angels from heaven and tell them to stop bullying her. The bullies insist to Go Yu to leave them alone since she is not his business. But obviously she is his business. She is the woman he dreams of, and they leave together holding hands. We see that the pair of friends return to school, and he forces him to use correctly the new kidney he gave him. She jokingly comments to the boys that they look a lot alike and they like her, so Yeon has the honor of joining their group of friends. In fact, Go Yu makes a joke, and for the first time she laughs. The two boys really compete for Yeon's affection, while the bully gets jealous that they are happy and that they have a girl in the group. Then an older student performs some strange rituals in front of them, so that their kidneys never fail again, and invites them to a party of older students, but on the condition that they bring a girl. He realizes that Go Yu plans to bring Yeon to the party, and this bothers he so much that he can't study. We also see that Go Yu still has to prove that he can be an elite athlete, and he works hard for it. However, something strange happens in Hee's life, as now he writes with his left hand, when before he was right-handed. He is also afraid of pigeons, just like Go Yu was. And this means that by changing kidneys, he has also absorbed part of his friend's personality. He tries not to let this affect him, and while they sell flowers to get money, Go Yu sees his girl and offers her a rose for the most beautiful flower in the universe. She gives him money for the rose because she knows it's for a good cause, and he happily thanks her for her goodwill. Then he invites her to the party while he looks at him with jealousy because it seems they are exchanging phone numbers. She promises that she will attend, and his friend insists that surely they are just friends. But he is surprised to see that she showed up together with Go Yu, and he is sure there is a relationship between them. Then they discover that the door of the party is blocked, so they decide to climb a wall, and when it's Yeon's turn to climb, the two friends offer her their hand along with all their affection. And she does not decide whom to choose, and takes the hands of both, so as not to disappoint either of the two friends, while they feel a connection with her that anchors in their souls, and their relationship improves. Then at the party, Go Yu notices that his friend also likes Yeon, so jealous. He encourages her to leave there alone with him to talk. They ask each other their zodiac signs, and each answer indicates that they are made for each other, and they feel that they are soulmates. Then, at the moment when their lips are about to touch, their friends appear running at full speed because security is chasing them, and one of their friends falls to the ground. The two enter together into an alley, and in that small space, they feel they are in a love story destined for them, and they don't even dare to look each other in the eyes. Then a call interrupts them, and they reunite with Go Yu, who shows some jealousy, trying to see if there is lipstick on his friend's lips. He remembers how they looked at each other before and cannot stand them being together, so he takes his beloved by the hand, and on the way home he explains to her that he is his childhood friend, and he does not intend to hurt him. She reveals that she never had a friend, and he feels great sorrow for her, that makes him want to kiss her even more. Then he discovers that his friend no longer wears glasses, and he tells him that after the operation he sees better, and above all, strange things are happening to him. But also he calls his grandmother ma'am, just like Go Yu does, and it is confirmed that the kidney transplant has made him change his personality. Therefore, he behaves strangely, and Go Yu says that he would be lucky if he becomes like him. At that moment, the bullies agree, since they are in love with Go Yu, and promise to try to be his new girlfriend. Meanwhile, the boy is only stubborn. She leaves the class, and he chases her in front of the other students, who scream, and she cannot avoid smiling, because Go Yu seems like her bodyguard in love. In fact, the students chase them around the school, but the boys see a pigeon and get scared as if they had seen a ghost, so they run away, which attracts Yeon's attention. Then he explains to her that a bird was the last thing he saw when Hee's brother died, and that is why he has a trauma. Then, to get better, they spend a great afternoon playing sports because she has to raise her gym grades. And without realizing it, his heart fills with such a passion toward Yeon that it truly bursts in his chest. The three become closer, living super happy moments. And when they finish, they take a picture of themselves together as a memory. Then he visits the hospital, and the doctor tells him that his kidneys are working much better. Later, his grandmother loses her necklace, and mysteriously, it ends up in Yeon's hands. Go-yu spends the whole day looking for the grandmother's necklace, but in every store he goes, no one has it. Frustrated, he goes to school where Yeon is staring at a music player and decides to steal it. But he catches her and cannot believe she is a thief. Then he forces her to show him the backpack and discovers that the grandmother's necklace she lost is also there. And he confirms that she is a thief. She defends herself, saying that it is a misunderstanding. But he, angry, doesn't care and takes the bracelet while his heart breaks little by little. He discovers that Yeon's condition is that she is a kleptomaniac, which means she has the addiction of stealing all kinds of objects, even if she doesn't need them. A few seconds later, we discover that Yeon didn't actually steal the necklace, but rather, when she bumped into the grandmother, she found it lying on the stairs and picked it up without intending to steal it. However, at school, when he crosses paths with her, he changes his way. And at that moment, the usual bully takes advantage that she is alone to flirt with her. Yeon brushes him off, so the angry bully bothers her, and he approaches to defend her and says that this girl is his. Go-yu asks her to go with him, but she rejects him because he didn't give her the opportunity to defend herself the other day. But he doesn't give up, and when he reaches her, he tells her that she is stubborn and a thief. She indeed confesses that she has an obsession with stealing things, but refuses to apologize to him for the bracelet. He realizes that she has had this stealing syndrome since she was a child because she was poor and had no possessions. Now, when she sees a loose phone, she feels the need to steal it, but restrains herself because she wants to make Go-yu proud and lasts a few days without stealing. But her addiction continues, and unintentionally, he sees her steal a chocolate bar in a store. When she realizes she was seen, she runs very far away, and he manages to catch up with her and understands the illness she has and stays by her side. He explains that he will help her overcome her illness, and Yeon thanks him for being so sweet with her. Then he sees the bullies harassing a boy at school, and unable to control his nerves, he follows them to the alley where they are and starts a fight with them. He hits the bullies with great fury for all those times they bullied him and takes revenge on them. However, they also respond by slapping him, although the bullies are surprised by the courage he shows since he doesn't give up. Still, the bully fills him with punches, and suddenly his friend appears with a flying kick, and now the fight is more even. The two friends encourage each other and fight against the bullies as a team, breaking all the bones of their bodies. After this, they leave together, and he tells him that Yeon didn't steal his grandmother's necklace. However, Go-yu still believes she did and doesn't accept anything else. Later, he comes to the conclusion that many of Go-yu's advantages and disadvantages have passed to his body because he realizes that he is allergic to peanuts, and his face turns very red. Then he takes some pills that manage to save his life. He talks to Go-yu about cellular memory, who at first doesn't believe him, but then he asks his mother, and she explains that his friend has been imitating several of his actions because of the transplant, and now they are more united than ever. This causes them to like the same girl. She gives juice to he, and the protagonist stares at the juice and tells him not to drink it, to which he contradicts him and decides to keep it in his backpack, and Go-yu doesn't like this. After this, he prevents Yeon from stealing a necklace from a jewelry store, and when leaving holding hands, Go-yu sees them and thinks they are dating. Because of this confusion, they fight, which is terrible pain for their hearts, because they had never been angry before. After this at school, a student reveals that someone took her wallet with a lot of money, and all eyes go to Yeon, believing she is the thief. But the girl finds the wallet, and Yeon gets upset with him for suspecting her and stands up challenging everyone. At that moment, the teacher separates them into groups and reveals that both Yeon and he are in the group of the most intelligent, while Go-yu and others are in the back of the class because they have the worst grades. The teacher devotes himself to insulting the dumbest, and especially calls them failures, which makes the protagonist sad, who doesn't even dare to look at his beloved because he feels like a true failure and not worthy of being her boyfriend. However, between them, there is a great tension of love never seen before, and he goes to look for her to ask for forgiveness. At that moment, she hears a student talking about her being a thief, and when he finds out about this, first, he goes to talk to the students who bullied her. He asks them if anyone saw his friend steal something. They say they heard rumors, and he replies that if they didn't see anything, how are they sure she is the one who steals things? Then he saves Yeon's reputation and later blames his friend for spreading the rumors. At first, they argue, and they speak louder and louder, so a crowd of students gathers around them waiting for a fight, which inevitably happens. He is the one who punches him and throws himself on top of his friend without letting him escape. Then Go-yu manages to turn the fight around. And of course, he doesn't hit him, but tries to make his friend realize that it wasn't him who made the rumor. And above all, he would never do that since he is totally in love with Yeon. After this confession, the teacher manages to stop the fight and calls his grandmother to explain what happened. And his grandmother is totally disappointed with the behavior of the two friends. His grandmother promises to put them back on the right path, but they separate, showing their discontent. Then, while they try to fix their friendship, something terrible happens. Since his grandmother went to sell flowers while there was a torrential rain, and when he returns home, his grandmother is not there, so he begins to get scared. He goes to look for her in the rain, and we discover that she is lying in the middle of the road with no one to help her. Then the protagonist runs to the hospital where he is nervous, and he explains that the grandmother is sick, and this is a total shock. But both promise not to cry for her, but to stay strong just as his grandmother would like. In fact, they apologize for all the fights they had before knowing what was happening to his grandmother. The doctors discovered that she had a brain hemorrhage, and although they managed to stabilize her, unfortunately, she is in a coma, and at any moment she could pass to the other life. For this reason, the boys decide to stay to take care of her, and the doctor, moved, tells the grandmother that they are good boys, and she raised them very well. Then he returns to school, and Yeon gives him strength so that his grandmother gets better. Yeon also reveals that she is going abroad at the end of the course, and he knows that his friend is going to suffer when he finds out. But he suffers more now because his grandmother gets worse every second. And through tears, he confesses that it is very difficult for him to love. He feels that his heart is not well, but he wants her to know that loving her is the easiest thing he did, since all his actions were moved by the purest love of a grandmother. In fact, she is the one who saw him grow up and who encouraged him to be the good boy he is today. However, good people also leave, and Go-yu calls his friend in the middle of the night to inform him that his grandmother has died. The two friends cry non-stop, and he cannot even speak because he was left alone in this world since all his relatives have died. For this reason, Go-yu's mother advises him to sell the house and go live with them until he enters the university. He has to accept because he has no one else. Later, the protagonist meets Yeon and tells her that he already knows she didn't steal the bracelet and asks her for forgiveness for all the problems he caused her. She reveals that she has overcome her habit of stealing thanks to them, and he confesses that he likes her, but knows that she is going abroad, so they say goodbye with a love that will continue. Meanwhile, he feels those headaches again like before, and this time he decides to take care of his problems alone and disappears from Go-yu's life without telling him. However, he leaves him a letter in which he says goodbye, explaining that he will always be his sole friend, and gives him as a gift his grandmother's necklace, which he squeezes so hard to try to feel the memory of his friend one last time.